So I can queue for game 2 immediately. My second deck is Shen Fiora. I'm gonna go ahead and just get up. Do little stretches. Very, very fast jump into game 2. So Chevalier, we're experiencing Kuvira trolling us right now with this card in our hands. Sharp Sight's interesting. It's pretty powerful in this matchup. It's so important to have a unit base, and we have so many tricks. I think I actually kick Sharp Sight out of this hands. I think in this matchup, I think we need our this entire deck is combat tricks. Screeching Dragon is also good in this matchup. I actually think Sharp Sight would be a bait to keep early. The common mentality would be, oh, if I play Sharp Sight early. The common mentality would be, if I play Sharp Sight early, then the problem is, then I can counter Mystic Shot. Yeah, he thermo beams this. So he realizes, of course, what this matchup is about. Like, you just want to kill the little things, right? I'm Demacia. When you're playing against Demacia in general, this is a bit of a broad generalization, but basically you just want to kill all the little things. Or kill all the things in general. Demacia is just a region built around having units on board, and Demacia is very weak when you deny their units. So even like cases like that, you have to use Thermo Beam really. He also has to play around Prismatic Barrier, which means he didn't really have the ability to try to thermo something big later, because Prismatic Barrier can only counter a big thermo on a medium-sized unit. So he's completely forced into that play there. Unfortunately, I think with that hands, honestly, I might have needed to play Tracker on turn 2, just to avoid giving him that level of value off of Thermo Beam at all. I could play Young Witch here. It doesn't really do very much, but it's actually a little early to send into spell mana. I need to have some kind of reactive response to things, right? I have no avenue for spell mana. I'll play the Young Witch now. It's close. The 1 damage doesn't really matter. It's not about the 1 damage. It's about whether I want to lock my mana into spell mana, or if I want to be able to use it for unit mana, right? That's the important thing. So Draven shouldn't do very much here. And unfortunately, I only have expensive spells in my hand, which means we kind of have to play... We can't really protect units. So here's the question. The question is, do I play River Shaper here? By tapping to 0 mana, if he has 1 of 5 outs in his deck, 2 Thermo Beams or 3 Mystics, he used 1 Thermo, then we get screwed in a way that doesn't counter his play. Unfortunately, given this hand state, I don't know how much I can really counter his play anyway, and I need the Laurent Chevalier to be able to challenge the Draven, I think. So I think I'm actually happy playing River Shaper here. Let's let him attack us first, though.
Watch and learn.
Just in case. If he didn't attack us there, then it would have been worth it, but he's probably going to attack us first either way. And yeah, it's kind of awkward, but the Chevalier really sucks in this deck. So I'm kind of like, just to even protect the Chevalier, I'm forced to play the Shaper out now. If I pass, he has way too good of a pass back. And this is why, like, control is very powerful in Runeterra. Because the game is so fundamentally reactive. Like, I can't pass here. And the odds are he actually doesn't have that many good ways of killing Chevalier. His best way is probably Gotcha. Wow. He drew Mystic Shot off the top there. So that's second Mystic Shot. We actually had pretty good odds of being able to survive with that Chevalier there. Just because his deck has so, like, you know, we've already forced Thermo and Mystic. Forced the last Mystic. But yeah, we just traded down 2 mana. Chevalier obviously doing literally nothing there.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
We might have no choice but to put the Caretaker here. The Caretaker does a decent job of stopping both attacks potentially. Just because I'm representing Repost. By doing that, I'm basically telling him I have Repost, but I think I kind of have to.
I am one with the land.
So hopefully, there's a few ways this can go. He could pass. I suspect he realizes that a pass here. Wow, that's great for me. I love that. So now I can't play cards. Because, again, the only reason he didn't attack me there was because I still have Repost mana. So we have to bank spell mana and go next. We're burning 1 mana here, but that's fine. It doesn't matter because we want to just, like, play reactively as much as possible. So now we can go ahead and actually start, you know, playing for the board and making sure we're making his plays as awkward as possible. First question is, do we Shen or Screeching Dragon first? Screeching Dragon first looks good. He has very few ways of answering it. Shen doesn't really attach much to this board. And the ability to give things barriers actually doesn't really matter here. I mostly just want to trade down his board. Actually, that could be wrong. Honestly, Shen is probably fine here. I'm not going to Screeching Dragon and like... I mean, I'm not going to stop him from being able to play Swain here. It's the only way this is... Getting this to 3 attack actually matters so much. And he can't deal the 5 damage either way. I will play Shen here. It's a close one. Shen gives us the ability to strike this turn, which we don't really need. We're fine without it. Sentry is pretty good here. Yeah, we don't really have the ability to punish Sentry. That feels bad. But Sentry would have cleaned up whether we had Screeching Dragon or Shen either. And so, you, like, now when you're thinking about the game in terms of this back and forth, thinking about passing, it's so important to realize, like, if I pass, he can't deny himself the Sentry. I don't have the... Because I'm the proactive deck, I don't have the ability to pass there because he passes back and gets closer to Leviathan. But whichever play I go for here, he's going to counter with Sentry and make me feel bad. And there's not really a way around that. That's just like the advantage you get for playing control over aggro sometimes.
Who goes there?
I think forcing out my own repost on his option is never worth 2 damage here. I think that's got to be just Giga Trolly. I can't represent any like weird challengers. It's literally, at 2 mana, it's impossible to represent anything spooky. So I guess I'll just spend my attack token on this attack here. If I had 3 mana or something like that, I could do a weird, like, you could pass, and then when he's, you know, he couldn't play a unit because maybe I have Young Witch into Fiora, but I can't represent anything at 2 mana because Fleet Feather doesn't even start with Challenger. So it looks like we're stuck on passing here, which is fine. We don't need to be mana efficient in this game. It's not about playing on curve. I mean, it can definitely be, but not always and not matchups like this. That's what I like so much about Runeterra. Like, I think the spell mana system is so genius. It creates so many interesting piloting decisions. So now we've got the 10 banked, which means we do have the ability to represent Screeching plus Concerted in the same turn, which is kind of important. I have to play Screeching here. I don't think keeping up, like... The only argument against it is keeping up Stand United plus Repost, but I don't think that's worth it. His deck has a pretty hard time dealing with Screeching Dragon. Thermal Beam is really bad into a deck that has Prismatic Barrier, because he can never use it on medium-sized units. And the entire point of Thermal Beam as a card is the ability to use it on medium-sized units. Interesting. That's very, very interesting. So how much can he actually damage my unit to get it in range for the Draven? He would need 2 options. And then even then, I could have single combat. Yeah, I mean, I will just block like this.
I'm basically 1/8 gay.
The one blocking Draven is a bit riskier. Is that even true?
Understood.
I don't even think that's true, actually. I can't take too much damage here, which is the one awkwardness. I probably do have to block with something like this. And then I'm threatening it, so like if I repost, then he loses the exchange even further. I think playing reactively and keeping repost up as the option has to be good. So we're basically making it so, unless he's happy losing his Draven, my Caretaker should kill the Chump Lump for free. Because we'll repost and this will be +2 attack. This feels pretty good to me, for that reason.
Now we're cooking.
I'm uncomfortable losing too much health. I'm uncomfortable losing too much health here. So this is very interesting. So he passed the action back to me, which means I can let this through and deny both of us more actions. Or I can play my option and let him respond to it, which is a little scary. But he's played 2 Mystic Shots already, and my Dragon hasn't even taken damage yet. So I can do something like... So let's say I Concerted Strike the Dragon into, like, killing this Chump Lump. We assume he can't kill my Dragon, so his Chump Lump dies for free, and then my Dragon will get the extra damage, right? So that'll make it also impossible for him to avoid the range with like Mystic Shot. I mean, this actually feels pretty safe. It feels kind of hard for him to respond to this with anything other than like the rarest hands. Maybe like Get Excited plus second Draven for Whirling Death could work. That would be scary. Yeah, That would mess me up if he had. But that's it's a 2-card. It's like so a rule of this game comes from poker is like playing her on single cards is smart. Usually playing her on double cards is unnecessary. So he should flock the dragon, which is a little sad. But it means his hand's running out of steam, which is what we want. I don't know. I might have needed to overprotect the dragon. I think... Like, the problem is we don't have enough to actually represent... Like, our Shen dying is actually better for us there, because we would prefer to have a Shen other than a Shen stand united. So that's fine. The biggest issue there is... Like, we don't have an answer for Leviathan, really. Yeah, he put us in an awkward position. To be able to answer Leviathan, we would have need to keep more cards in our hand. I'd probably just have to Shen River Shaper here, which feels pretty bad. But I have to play proactive to his option. I really have no other choice.
The eye of twilight sees all.
So, I mean, his hand is really tiny, right? He's got all these random tokens that don't really do anything. He's got a 2-card hand, right? 2 face downs, which is good. We have to think about what his range is. Could easily be stuff like Thermo. I'm a lot more scared of like Gotcha here. I'm forced into playing the River Shaper, I think. And the nice thing is, if he has something like Scorched Earth or a second Flock, it's completely useless. So this is the dangerous thing, which is like, we're tapping under the ability to respond, but without a big enough board of units, we have no choice but to tap under the ability to respond. Yeah. So Mystic Shots kind of sucks for us there. We can deal 1 more damage or get the barrier off of Shen. It's too important to not even let him block our Zen. I mean, we're fine here unless his last card is Leviathan. The only problem is we kind of are forced to assume it's Leviathan. I think we played this matchup wrong. We should be more ahead here than we are. The Chevalier really hurt. Not a good top deck.
There is no dispute.
Static Shock actually has a pretty hard time being in his range. I think I might have literally no choice but to assume his range is Get Excited.
Why, hello there.
We're only beating bad hands here. He doesn't really have a good ability to kill either. He can threaten like Static Shock on the Shen. But Static Shock's not... It feels like it's really unlikely that his card is static. Or Folding Static either way. I think we have no choice but to stop maximum damage here. The one thing you can make him do is like discard the Mushroom Clouds with the Spinning Axes by attacking the little one. That's optional. But I think we just trade down the board. I don't know, 7 might have no choice being fine. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't really do anything else. Like, I have to pre-commit it here. I have to hope his hand is bricked out. It's pretty easy for that deck to have bricked out hands here, which is the cool thing. Like, his deck could easily have Flock Thermo or something like that. If he drops like a Progress Day or Leviathan here, we just lose. I played the first game pretty well. This one, I think this one was pretty sloppy. I feel like we should have been favored here. I mean, there's no option to keep up. I think there's no upside to not playing the bird here. I'm just giving him the information. If he has, even a Rummage is pretty good against us because it's like a draw too. Yeah, he's just kind of done, you know, he starved us out of resources. So we're hoping for a pass here. We're hoping his hand sucks. These draws are really bad though, holy shit. Jesus. My last 3 draws have been pretty awkward. Yeah, this was a weird game.
Come on, Rip.
I think even despite some bad, like, I think both of us have really bad hands here. I mean, we have no ability to threaten anything at all. This is super jank. I can't represent any threats. I think I literally just have to play my tracker, as stupid as that is. I just hope his hand keeps blanking. Like, there's no point in keeping up bluffs here. Like, it doesn't lower his value. I mean, anything that he can play is a good hit for him. Rummage was a good hit. It's basically a draw too. Yeah, and he got Swain. So we should lose here. Like, even if we top deck good cards now, we're just kind of out of steam. I think we needed to play a bit more reactively. The awkward thing is, like, this matchup is kind of hard to play reactively. Yeah, he's got Static Shock too. This is a pretty easy concede then. So we go to game 3 in this series. Fiora Shen versus Scouts should be favorable. Yeah, he's good. Alright, game 3. But yeah, that's the weird thing about the game, is that you need to know when to play proactively and when to play reactively. And I think there were a couple turns in there which we should have chilled a bit more. I was kind of like, you always feel like you're under pressure against like hands that, you know, you expect the Leviathan to come out at 8, so there's a bit of a time clock. But we could have played for a little bit more value. A couple of things like playing Fleet for the tracker on turn 1 was probably wrong. I didn't have to give him a perfect thermo there like that.